A very good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Sushma Jaiswal Meher. I've been practicing homeopathy since 19 years, and I'm also a psychotherapist. It's so nice to see, so many participation for this webinar, which we have brought by, which like we belong to an organization called Life Counts, where we are doing a lot of content for doctors, for consumers, and this was one of our offering to our consumers basically for Breast Awareness Month, and we saw so many people participating to it, but somewhere I was feeling sad that to discuss such an important topic we need an awareness month. So yes, that was, that is something which we always put on a back burner. Nevertheless, today we are going to share a lot of useful information. So stay tuned till the end. We have Dr. Shrita who will be joining us. Then we have Dr. Asrani also today who will be joining us for certain topics. I'll just share my screen. So why women health? We also have a lot of doctors, a lot of males also joining. But maybe the initial slides would, which you will feel that it's more for the women, but you all are welcome because all this information is something which you also can share to your daughters, to your patients, to everyone. Why women health? As I said that women health, health for the women is always the last priority. It is always at the back burner. So this was something we wanted to talk about to start with our consumers, especially for the consumers today. Women, the epitome of sacrifice. Always like that. We always sacrifice everything for our family, for our loved ones. So we thought that let's start that why health is very important for the women. We never take care for self. That's the last priority, as I said, always. Young age, we have our own health issues. When we move to adulthood, the fertility worry, the career worry. First, we don't want to get pregnant, then we get pregnant, then again there's a worry of not getting pregnant. So all those health-related issues, which are becoming very common today, the financial worries, bringing up the kid worries. And later on with the middle age comes the other health issues as well. In the late 40s and 50s, the menopause issue, the mood swings, and there is zero support. But does that mean that, we should not take care of our health? The answer is no. Most bad illnesses we hide. Women have this habit of hiding their illnesses, till it becomes to a stage where surgery is required or, a very detailed treatment is required. Once the family is complete, what as doctors we are seeing is we rarely visit to the gynecologist. We don't want, even when the problem goes haywire, still we don't want to visit the gynecologist. Career women, in our practice, we are seeing that they have the worst self-care. And the challenges. Now, this, whatever I was talking was something which women do. As a healthcare worker, as a doctors, we are saying there are other challenges as well. Literacy, there's not the education part to the women, to our small girls, to our remote areas, even in the city, even if we are educated, the detailing or the small things which we should be teaching our girls, we are not doing that. Taboo. Talking about breasts, talking about vaginal issues, talking about body parts for female has always been a taboo. We don't want to discuss. So much so that even if we have symptoms, even if we have problems, we, somewhere there is this embarrassing situation where we don't want to discuss about it. And the fear. There's always a fear of cancer, and then when you fear something, you don't want to talk about it. You always have this mentality ki mujhe kuch nahi hoga. That kind of attitude we usually have. To save lives, we need to talk about this, and that is what Life Counts is aiming to do with its webinar. Breast cancer. It is one of the commonest cancers seen in women. One woman is diagnosed of breast cancer every 4 minutes in India. one woman is dying of breast cancer every 13 minutes in India. And 1 in 14 women before the age of 75 will develop breast cancer. And in developing countries like India, half of the women who are diagnosed, they are diagnosed at the last stage. And even in the developed countries, there are 10% incidence. And India, it is 50%. Every woman is at risk. Now, I have taken this statistics not to fear you or to create a lot of fear factor. These are the facts of life. These figures are not mine. These figures are the figures which are available on the net. This is actually what is happening. So why has this problem not improved? Why women are dying of cancer? We are aware, like we all are aware that there's a commonest cancer, and if you have symptoms, if you have this, but we are not educated. Somewhere, even the doctors I meet, they don't know what to do, how to explain to their patients, and so forget the layman. According to a survey, I also want to quickly take you through. Only 4% of us women, they do self-examination regularly. And just 2% of women know all the signs of breast cancer. 25% of women think that lump is the only sign of breast cancer. And 71%, this is very interesting, feel guilty for not doing it more often. So they know that they have to, do a lot of things for their health. They feel guilty about it, but they are not doing anything about it. These problems have existed since decades, since centuries. We have so many awareness months, we have so many days dedicated to so many illnesses. We are aware, but we are not educated. So let us focus and educate ourselves. So what is the best treatment for breast cancer? Early diagnosis itself. Yes. And how we will do the early diagnosis? Who is responsible for that? It starts with you. It starts with me. It starts with each woman to diagnose it, detect it as early as possible. And one of the key to early detection is self-breast examination. You heard it right. It is one of the key element. You can really detect it very early if you're doing it regularly. So it's like almost like 43%. Lot of things have been recorded that 43% of the women detected themselves. So you can understand that how important it is. Now we don't know why cancer is happening to us, but with early detection, 85% of the women can survive. That's a huge number. 85% of the women can live their life, normally, and they can survive if they don't die just because if you can detect it a little earlier. Self-breast examination, I'll be taking it in detail. So let me first answer the question that why we should be examining our own breast. Self-breast examination is a simple technique which every woman must know. It is a life-saving skill, a life-saving habit which every woman must know. It is the best defense we have against breast cancer. Who should do it and how often you should do it? BSE, it is a short form for breast self-examination, is for women of all ages. They say that you should start at 20 years, but I would request all our mothers, you teach cooking to your daughters. Teach, this should also be a part of your motherhood now. You should be teaching them breast self-examination as soon as they develop the breast. Why? So that it becomes a part of their life. It's like something which they should be doing. They're so much into social media, everything, and we are introducing day by day so many skills to them. This has to be introduced. And as early they start, then it becomes a part of the life and they can detect it early. Because all these years, our mothers, our mother-in-laws, our daughter-in-laws have not been able to do it. As an adult woman, you should continue doing this, even during pregnancy and menopause, after menopause, whatever is your age, now is the right time. So if you're not doing it, you have to start doing it. It is never too late to begin. When to do? How often should you perform? So ideal time is 1 week after the menstruation, or it is around the ovulation part, because that is the time when the breast is less tender. And usually when it is tender, or you're having your premenstrual syndrome, so usually you have this pain and all. So when you start it after a week of menstruation, that time it mimics less. So if you're actually having some pain or any other symptoms, it can be detected. Do it every month. Should a pregnant woman do it? Yes. After menopause, yes. Breastfeeding women, yes. Breast implants women, yes. So what they should do is, ideally they should do it first week of the month. Aim to do it at the same time of the day every month. Few requirements for it: that you find a private, comfortable room with a large mirror, because you need to observe also a lot of things. And room should have a proper light. Relax. More important than your parlor visits. So we all have our schedules, right? That okay, once a week, once a month we need to go to the parlor. Some people go once a week. So now this has to become a part of your routine, and this is more important than that. There are a few patients of mine, who don't have the privilege of having a private room or a comfortable room. To them, I tell them to take a selfie, of course, without the face, and then later on they can, observe and see if there is any symptom or anything like that. You can also keep this selfie for comparison, right? So month on month when you're doing, this can be a helpful tool for you to see whether there are any changes. So I will be teaching you breast self-examination with the help of picture, but I'm also going to show you two videos, one in Hindi, one in English, which I have taken for educational purpose from few sites. That will help you in better understanding. So just pay attention that how you should be doing self-breast examination. This TLC, very commonly we use this word TLC, which means tender love care. And as a woman, you keep all this thing for your loved ones, for your kids. From now on, I want this TLC to become touch, look, check. So these are basically the 3 steps which you should be doing: touch, look, and check. I will show you how. The first thing is you lie on the bed, put the pillow under one shoulder, and elevate your hand like this is looking. This may seem a little funny, and I will give you an example. Like when we tell our patients and we ask them that, are you doing it regularly? So they come up with this funny answer, which I don't understand. They say that, हाँ करते हैं doctor, but वो हमेशा कुछ मिलता नहीं है. Really, like वही तो हमको चाहिए, right? कि आप इसको life long करते रहो और आपको कुछ ना मिले. But you should not stop doing it because you're not getting anything, you're not getting any lump. That is what we want. That you should not get anything, but if at all there is any symptom, then you catch it at day 1. So this way what happens is, and when you put your hands behind the waist, you are putting the muscles under tension, and that way you can visualize if there is any abnormality which is to be found. And these are the other 2 positions which also you need to do while you're standing. One is like this, and the other one which is shown on the side way of the hip. This way also, this may seem very common or very normal to you, like इसमें मुझे क्या दिखेगा? But actually, if you have any enlargement, or if you have any abnormality in this position, you're most likely to see it. And bending forwards. This is specifically for any lymph or anything which is on the upper part of the breast, because when you're standing this, it goes behind and it kind of hides. So when you do it bending forwards, if anything is there, it will appear very prominently. And squeezing your nipple. This is also important. Like, if there is any secretion, whether there is any abnormal discharge. So you need to squeeze the nipples as well and look for it. You should also not forget to examine your lymph nodes, which are under your armpits, because there also most likely you may find some abnormality if there is. Before I show you the video, I would like to, show you this image. Every one of us have handled a lemon, right? So the breast most likely looks, it's a just a normal representation for a normal person, that how it looks like. And there are two, three things which you will find. Like if you have a lymph node, what you commonly find in your armpits, it will feel like a soft bean. Okay. And if it is a like breastfeeding women, the milk lobe will feel like a soft piece. And if there is a lump, here it is written cancerous lump, but not all lumps are cancerous. It can be cyst and other things also, but it will feel like the seed. It will be hard and it will be very difficult to move it. So this is just a fair idea that what you will feel when you're feeling your breast. I'm just sharing the video, giving 2 minutes.
One, do your breasts in the mirror with your shoulders straight and your hands on the hips. Here's what you can consider to be normal. Breasts that are evenly shaped without visible distortion or swelling. If you see any of the following changes, kindly report to a doctor immediately.
Video?
Dimpling,
No?
buffering.
I think the video is not audible. Just give me 2 minutes. My team will just take care of the technical glitch. Just give me 2 minutes.
Position or an invert your breasts in the mirror with your shoulders straight and your hands on the hips. Here's what you can consider to be normal. Breasts that are evenly shaped without visible distortion or swelling. If you see any of the following changes, kindly report to a doctor immediately. Dimpling, puckering or bulging of the breast. Nipple that has changed position or an inverted nipple, pushed inward instead of sticking out. Skin with redness or rash. A mild variation in sizes of both breasts could be normal. Step 2. Raise your arms and look for the same changes. Step 3. While you're in front of the mirror, gently squeeze your nipples to check for discharge. This could be a watery, milky, or yellow fluid or blood. Step 4. Examine your breasts while lying down. Use your right hand to examine your left breast and your left hand to examine your right breast. Using the flat pads of your first 3 fingers, press gently but firmly in overlapping circles. Do not pinch your breast between your thumb and index finger to feel it. Start from your collarbone till you reach the bra line. Move your fingers in concentric circles either up and down or sideways towards your nipple. Also, carefully examine the area between your breast and armpit. Switch arms and repeat the step with your other breast. Gently feel for a lump or thickening. Be sure to check every part of your breast. Step 5. Feel your breasts while you are standing or sitting. Many women find that it is easier to feel their breasts when the skin is wet and slippery. Hence, they prefer to undertake this self-examination in the shower. Repeat the entire steps as mentioned in step 4. What to do if you find a lump? Do not panic, because most lumps are not cancers.
स्तन की जांच 5 चरणों में की जाती है। पहले 2 चरण में आईने के सामने कपड़े बदलते वक्त देखकर या निरीक्षण कर और बाद के 3 चरणों में छूकर स्तन की जांच करते हैं। पहले चरण में दोनों हाथों को कमर पर रखकर दोनों स्तन के आकार और साइज में किसी भी प्रकार के बदलाव का निरीक्षण करें। साथ ही स्तन की त्वचा में किसी भी प्रकार की लालिमा, चकत्ते, त्वचा का अंदर धंसना, संतरे के छिलके की तरह होना या निप्पल का अंदर धंसना, पानी एवं खून का रिसाव होना, ये सब देखना चाहिए। दूसरे चरण में यही सारी जांचें हाथों को ऊपर करके देखनी चाहिए। तीसरे चरण की जांच किसी सख्त बिस्तर या तख्त पर लेटकर करते हैं। इसके लिए बाएं हाथ को ऊपर करके उसी कंधे के नीचे तकिया लगाकर दाएं हाथ से यह जांच करें। याद रखें, बाईं तरफ की छाती की जांच के लिए दाएं हाथ का और दाईं तरफ की छाती के लिए बाएं हाथ का इस्तेमाल करते हैं। गीली उंगलियों से छोटी गांठ भी पकड़ी जा सकती है, अतः उचित होगा अगर यह जांच गीली उंगलियों से की जाए। डायल ऑफ क्लॉक मेथड या घड़ी की सुइयों का अनुसरण करते हुए दोनों स्तनों पर यह जांच की जाती है। 12 के कांटे से शुरू करके बाहर से अंदर की तरफ यह जांच की जाती है। इसे 3 बार गोल गोल घुमाते हुए करते हैं। पहली बार से दूसरी बार थोड़ा अधिक दबाव और दूसरी से तीसरी बार थोड़ा और अधिक दबाव लगाते हैं ताकि छोटी से छोटी गांठ भी पकड़ी जा सके। बाएं स्तन की जांच के लिए दाईं तरफ करवट लेकर 12 से 6 और 6 से 12 तक सीधा लेटकर, इसी प्रकार दाईं तरफ के लिए 12 से 6 तक सीधा लेटकर और 6 से 12 के लिए बाईं तरफ करवट लें और बाएं हाथ से यह जांच करें। चौथे चरण में दूध की नलियों की जांच की जाती है। इसके लिए निप्पल को उंगलियों के बीच 2 बार घुमाते हुए पहले 12 से 6 और फिर 3 से 9 की दिशा में गांठ या पानी और खून के रिसने की जांच करें। स्तन के साथ साथ अपनी दोनों बगलों में भी किसी प्रकार की गांठ जरूर देखो। कभी-कभी कैंसर बगल में भी फैल सकता है।
Hope that has made it more relatable, and now you can understand it better. Okay. So now I want to show you quickly that what are the 12 things which you might see, because as I mentioned earlier, 25% of women think that lump is the only sign for the cancer. Now what I'm showing doesn't mean that you have a cancer, but these are definitely things which you need to take care. You need to take a note of it and then report to the doctor if necessary. Thick area. So while you're examining, usually the skin is very soft. Suddenly you will feel that the area is very thick. Dimpling, dimple like you get it on your cheeks. Usually, if women is wearing a tight bra and all, that time you do get some kind of dimpling, but that is something because of the pressure which goes away. This will not go away. Nipple crust, see the nipple, how it is. This is also common in breastfeeding women, but if it persists, then you need to take care of it. Red or hot area. You can see this, there's a redness kind of thing. You will see that such kind of, redness, it is basically an infection or an inflammation, what we call, but that area will become red and also warm. Any secretions, as we have been mentioning, especially if it is bloody. Skin soreness, you can see that blackness there, that is called skin soreness. A bump. So see here, so usually it's a soft and circular area and suddenly you will see a bump. growing vein. This also is commonly seen in a girl who is obese or you are breastfeeding. But if it is not going and the vein is growing, that is something to be concerned of. Sunken nipple. Can you see? The nipple has retracted. It's gone inside. New shape and size. So usually it is very common to have different size of the breast. Usually you can see the left is little bigger than the thing, but a woman knows that this is how big my one breast is. But suddenly if you see there is a huge difference in the size, or one breast is flattening, something you need to take care or note of. Orange peel-like skin. You can see it looks like this. And a heart lump, which I explained to you earlier, a seed-like lump, if you see. Take a note of it. All this thing, if you ever observe, is something you should be concerned, and if you kind of take a medication or whatever it is, this is something you should look for while you're doing breast self-examination. Mammogram Dr. Shrita will be taking in detail, but I would like to emphasize on one thing. First, there's a protocol. Every woman after 40 years of age should be doing it once a year or once in 2 years, and every woman of 50 should be doing it yearly, annually, whether it is normal or not, whether you have symptoms or not. This is something you need to do, because a mammogram can pick up any abnormality 2 years before you will actually start getting the symptom. So you know how important it is. And the other things, if someone is having symptom, if someone already had a breast cancer, or there is a family history, those are the people also advised to do mammogram regularly. Remember, the breast self-examination I showed you should complement the mammogram. It should never replace it. It is never a substitute. You cannot say that I am doing a breast self-examination, so I will not do mammogram. If you fall into that protocol I mentioned in the earlier slide, you have to do that. And the benefits, as I have been telling you time and again, that lower the age, the lesser the risk. But this is something which is a step towards your wellness, your well-being, and it is something which will really help you a long way. I'm not taking this in detail, just to tell you that sometimes if there is some finding, ultrasound may also be advised. We wanted to take few more breast related conditions for y'all, but we will be sharing our website link for y'all, and you can go and read up a lot of things there, a lot of women related things there, which we'll be sharing shortly. We also showed it in the initial phase. Let me just tell you, so mastitis will look something like this, a redness. There will be a lot of pain, there will be a lot of, it may be associated with fever as well, but if you don't treat it, then it might turn into an abscess, and then you might need, a drainage or something like that. Fibrocystic disease, we no longer call it disease, we call it fibrocystic breast. And how it will feel like a rope. This also we just leave it, we don't treat it unless until a woman is complaining about it. Fibroadenoma, here you will feel a marble-like thing when you're examining. This also is something which is non-cancerous, and if you tend to get symptoms or there is any other abnormality, then we treat this as well. Viraj, this is something I will just take quickly. So what happens is, when you're doing a mammogram, the radiologist give a reports, and this is the scoring symptoms he uses to convey what is the problem, whether it is normal, whether it is abnormal. If it is abnormal, what is the finding? Remember one thing, why I have taken this slide specifically is that even if your results are negative and you're falling in that protocol of 40 years and 50 years, you have to go back and do it. There's no saying that मेरा mammogram normal आया था तो मैं 5 साल 6 साल तक नहीं करूँगी. No. If you're falling in that criteria, you have to keep doing it regularly, because remember I told you it can pick up any lump or any misfortune if you may have 2 years prior when you get the symptoms. This I'll just take quickly because this is a very this topic is usually asked that how to choose the right size of the bra. Take the measurement just below the breast at the nipple, and the difference between it is the cup size. Okay, so if it is 1 inch, it is a cup. Similarly, a lot of things, we have put a lot of this information on our website. Please do go visit that, and you might find lot of your queries answered there. And again, remember, TLC is tender, loving care, no more. Just touch, look, and check. 5 steps, which I taught you, only 15 minutes every month. I don't think that is too much to ask for your health. No, it will just take 15 minutes, just few steps every month. You do it regularly, it can really save lives. Most stress changes are normal, okay? They do usually happen because of the hormonal changes, but do your mammograms regularly on time. Let none of our ladies suffer or die because of cancer. Let us all make every life count. Every life count. Thank you so much. So now I invite Dr. Shrita to come over and take the next topic. Will just join us in 2 minutes. Just give us 2 minutes. Dr. Shrita is freezing. Just give us a minute and she will be here. And if you have any queries, we are going to have a question answer session towards the end. And that is the time when we have our Sir Dr. Asrani also joined us. He will be answering most of your queries. He has an experience of 42 years and we have been learning under him all our lives. So he's also joined us. After Dr. Shrita's talk, he will be also taking up, he will be talking about his experience of 42 years. So please be there till the end and learn as much as you can. We'll be holding a lot of seminars like this for our, all our women and even our men, general health topics and all. And you can also give us a feedback if there's certain topic which you all will want us to take up. And it will be our pleasure to take it and educate all our people who are interested in this webinars on a Saturday evening when the Dussehra is round the corner. So let us all learn and grow together.
Hello. Hi. Thank you, Dr. Sushma. I'm so sorry. I just was experiencing some technical issues. I'm Dr. Shrita Iyer. I've been associated with Inches and I've been working under the guidance of Dr. C.H. Asrani and Dr. Sushma for a little over a year now. So I think Dr. Sushma has given us a great overview about the importance of early detection and self-breast examination that she talked about so well in detail. She also talked a little on mammography and different types of investigations that are possible. So now going ahead, I think I'll be looking a little more into mammography, a few other investigations, and then I'll also be talking a little more on genetics and breast cancer, since we always hear about BRCA1 and 2. So we'll just talk a little about what it is and exactly what is the significance of it. So, so let's begin with mammography first. Yeah. So what should we again know about mammography? Is the screen? So what exactly is a mammogram? Now, we've talked earlier about mammography also. So it is a low radiation serial X-ray of the breast. So exactly like we take X-rays of any other body part, this one is slightly low radiation and serial X-rays of the breast tissue are taken. Now, why is this important? So like on your X-ray, you can pick up irregularities or abnormalities. Similarly, on a mammogram, lumps or irregularities in the breast tissue can actually be seen and picked up. In this way, early detection of cancer is possible. Any kind of irregularity or lump that we see, we can further investigate, we can confirm whether it is cancerous or non-cancerous. And like Dr. Sushma also already said, most of the times we don't need to worry too much because most of the times these lumps are non-cancerous, but on the off chance that it is always important that we get a mammogram done and we have done further testing and investigation. Now, another important thing is a mammogram needs no preparation at all. There is no need for a contrast. You don't need to be fasting. It is exactly like an X-ray. Most of us have gotten X-rays done. You just go in, you stand in front of the screen and the X-ray happens. This is similar. So over here also, we do not need any kind of preparation for this. So what exactly happens or how exactly is a mammography done or how is a mammogram taken? One of the things over here that most people would obviously be worried about is privacy, right? Because it is a serial, the X-ray is of the breast. So that is not something we should worry about too much because it is done in a private room by a lady technician. Now, of course, since the breast tissue has to be exposed, so the female or the woman will have to take off the shirt and the bra. This is how the mammography looks or is done. So while the woman is standing in front of the machine, the breast is placed on a small platform or a cassette. That's what it's called. It's called a cassette, and the breast tissue is placed on that platform. And a clear plastic plate will press down on the breast. So this way, the breast tissue is held between the cassette and a plastic plate on top, and it presses down a little. So, of course, there is some amount of discomfort or pressure that is felt, but most people say that there is no pain while undergoing a mammography. So if you're worried about there being pain, that is not something you should be too worried about. You will, of course, when someone is undergoing a mammography, there might be some pressure since the breast tissue is being pressed between the cassette and the plate. Now, why is it important or why are we doing this? Why is that pressure required? So what that does is it compresses the breast tissue and it spreads it out. That way there is no overlap and we can very clearly pick up any kind of abnormality that can be picked up on the mammogram. Now, what are one of the pitfalls of a mammogram? Or sometimes mammograms might not work. So what kind of a condition is that? That happens when someone has dense breasts. Now, of course, breast tissue can be fatty. Some people might have less fatty tissue and it might be more dense. Typically, this is in younger age groups also. Dense breasts are associated with a higher risk of breast cancer also. And in these breasts, it can be difficult to pick up the lump on a mammography. But with technology and scientific advancement, we don't need to worry too much because there are other investigation modalities that we can look into in such a case. Then, so one such modality is a USG or a sonomammography. Now, this is preferred in women less than 40 years of age, and it is also preferred in pregnant women if they are diagnosed with a breast lump. Because of course, we don't want a pregnant woman to undergo an X-ray like investigation or the mammography because we don't want them to expose them to radiation. So in pregnant women, if they are diagnosed with a breast lump, or in women under the age of 40, we prefer a USG or a sonomammography. And of course, then you have an MRI of the breast. This is again a newer technology. MRI breast is not done very commonly, but mostly it is done to monitor local recurrence after surgery. We want to make sure that after surgery, when someone is after surgery, you want to make sure that there is no local recurrence, or if post-surgery someone is undergoing chemotherapy also, you might want to monitor, or the doctor might want to monitor if there is any local recurrence. So in those cases only, MRI of the breast is undertaken. So that was just in short about our modalities. Now, when do we screen for cancer? So like we've talked, Dr. Sushma was also talking about self-breast examination and how we should do it every month. So how commonly should a person or a woman undergo a sonomammography or a mammography. Now, there are specific guidelines for this. We have the American Cancer Association guidelines, which are most commonly followed. Women less than 40 years of age, we do not recommend a mammography. Instead, we recommend a sonography or a sonomammography. Women less than 40 years of age, but if they have a positive family history or a significant family history, that is in case their first degree relatives, mother, sisters, or aunts have been diagnosed with breast cancer or ovarian cancer, if they have any such history, then a mammography is required for such women, even if they are under the age of 40. And also, you should consult your physician. You should talk to your physician about your family history, and then you should get a mammography done. Women between the ages of 40 to 45, annual screening is preferable. We do recommend women undergo screening via mammography. 46 to 54-year-old women definitely should undergo a yearly mammography. It is very, very important that we catch, in case there is a breast lump, in case there is breast cancer, it is extremely important that we catch it as early as possible, which is why it is recommended that women between the ages of 46 and 54 should undergo yearly mammography. Women over the age of 55 and older, the time between mammographies can be increased to 2 years. So every 2 years, women 55 and older can undergo a mammography, or they can continue every year if there are other risk factors also that need to be taken into account. And it is very important that screening should continue as long as a woman is in good health and is expected to live 10 more years or longer. So we have to do self-breast examination on a monthly basis. Women less than 40 years of age might want to consult your physician, undergo a sonography. If you do catch a breast lump and your physician says so, you might want to undergo a sonomammography. Women less than 40 years of age with a positive or a significant family history should definitely consult their physician, talk about this, and maybe undergo more rigorous screening. And over the age of 40, mammography up to 46 to 54, a yearly mammography, and 55 and older every 2 years should definitely undergo mammography. Now, let's just talk about BRCA1 and BRCA2. So whenever we talk about breast cancer, we most commonly come across these two terms. So what are BRCA1 and BRCA2? To put it simply, BRCA1 and BRCA2 are genes in our body. Now, in our body, we have multiple genes which act as tumor suppressors. These make sure that cancerous conditions or cancer doesn't form in the body, to put it in a very simple term. So there are multiple genes, but these two are associated with breast cancer. Now, when BRCA1 or BRCA2 are mutated, they don't do their work properly, they can't suppress the cancer properly, and so the chances for these cancers increase. So it is not BRCA1 or BRCA2 that causes or is linked to breast cancer. It is mutated BRCA1 or mutated BRCA2, which is a known etiology for breast carcinoma. Now, how do we get this mutation? So BRCA1 or BRCA2 are both inherited. So you can inherit a mutated gene from your mother or from the father or from both. Now, it's not necessary that you have both from your mother and father only, then it is presented. Even if from one set you get a mutated gene, it might present in the offspring or in the female. Now, what cancers are associated or have a higher risk with a mutated BRCA1 or 2? We very commonly hear about breast cancer, but also ovarian carcinoma chances increase when if someone has been diagnosed with or has undergone screening and found to have mutated BRCA1 or BRCA2. So now approximately 5% of new breast cancers are attributable to hereditary syndromes, that is BRCA positive, while 95% of them have no etiology. This just constitutes 5% of the newly diagnosed cases, whereas 95%, again, like we do not know exactly or we can't pinpoint to one etiology. Of course, there are risk factors which increase the chances of getting breast carcinoma, but there is no one single attributable factor in almost 95% of the cases. So how is genetic testing done for BRCA1 or 2? It is a simple blood test. DNA from the blood is tested to identify the mutated genes. So it is again a very simple investigation that is done over here. And who should get it done? So women with a significant history of breast cancer, ovarian cancer, rarely some people might have a history of fallopian cancer. If anyone has significant family history of any of these, they should get tested. But also we would recommend that before you do so, you speak to your family physician or your general practitioner. Again, I would like to stress that when we say significant family history, we mean first degree relatives. So if your mother or sisters or aunts have a history of breast cancer, ovarian cancer, or fallopian cancer, that becomes significant family history. Now, should you get tested? Like I said, always speak to your doctor. You need to have an open conversation with your family physician, with your general practitioner about this, because testing is only one part of it. You need to know if you actually require the testing or not. If you don't have a family history, you might not need to be tested. You also need to understand the implications of a positive or negative test. Just because BRCA1, mutated BRCA1 or BRCA2 is negative, that doesn't mean that that person might not develop breast cancer in the future. Like we said, this only accounts for 5% of the newly diagnosed cases. Almost 95% of the cases have no fixed etiology. And the possibility that the test might not be informative. Even a positive test might not actually turn into anything, or a negative test might not turn into anything. Or also it is possible that you get an inconclusive test, which is why it becomes very important to talk and plan with your doctor as to what you would do, whether it is required for you to get this test done, and what will happen based on the implications of a positive or a negative test. Now, what if someone tests positive for a mutated gene? Does that mean that that person will get breast cancer? So testing positive for BRCA, mutated BRCA1 or 2, these people have a higher chance of breast cancer, which is why, again, in this case, it is best to consult the family physician so you can build a plan for screening. This way you know that, or you are more aware and you undergo more rigorous screening. Now, another thing we keep hearing about are prophylactic surgeries or radical mastectomies. Are these really important to prevent the cancer? Now, just because someone has gotten diagnosed or has positive BRCA1, BRCA2 mutation, do these people actually need to undergo radical mastectomy, or do they need prophylactic surgery? So while these surgeries can reduce the chances of breast cancer in the future, you must consult your doctor to formulate a plan. Today, we can have an increased frequency of screening. There are safe, very, very safe modalities for screening. We have the possibility of conservative surgeries. If someone is undergoing rigorous screening regularly, has a formulated plan with the doctor, they might be able to catch a lump at an early stage and undergo a conservative surgery, and they might not need a radical mastectomy at all, as prophylaxis, as preventive or as curative. Which is why it is very important, again, to talk to your family physician, talk to your general practitioner, formulate a plan so even you are more aware and we all have more information as to how we go ahead with this. And it is very important to remember that just because someone tests positive for a BRCA1 or 2 mutation, that does not in any way mean that they have to undergo any kind of radical surgery. So now Dr. C.H. Asrani will share his practical experience and announce a surprise privilege for all who are here. So I'll hand it over to Dr. C.H. Asrani. Thank you.
Good evening. It's nice to see over 200 participants here and around 70 on YouTube. So I have been in practice for 43 years and I have a good interest in managing cancer patients. In my small village of Kalina, I myself have 49 cancer cases which have been cured. The trick is always to catch early. So what are the difficulties I face? First difficulty is asking a patient to go for a mammography. And the first question is, Doctor, kuch nikal aaya to? And that is where I have to keep my straight face and give confidently that nikal aaya to, we are there. And because we cajoled our patients into going for early sonographies, early mammographies, that we have been able to cure almost 12 patients in Kalina itself of breast cancer, one of whom has agreed to come and talk to you all today. The second difficulty that we face is if a patient has been really picked up early. So the answer they give me, doctor, I am 60 years old, I am 50-year-old, I have no problem. I don't mind managing it like this. So we have to teach them that what can go wrong. So I have a presentation which I show it to them in my clinic that I will share it with you, because people feel that I can manage it because I don't have any problem today. But what can happen, they are not aware. So this is a patient who has a small size lump in the right breast, which has been picked up. First, she picked up on her self-examination. We did a mammography and we picked up a tumor. So I'm going to teach you something about the staging of cancer, which as a common person you need not know. But today some knowledge is important. T in this TNM stands for tumor. Tumor size. This T is always written. Tx means the tumor cannot be felt. T1 is tumor is less than 2 centimeter. T2 is tumor is between 2 and 5 centimeters. I will not go in the 3, 4 and all because that is complex. So the tumor size is Tx to T1 to T4. Coming to N, Dr. Sushma told you about lymph nodes. Everybody has had once in a lifetime a node enlarged in the throat because of a tonsil, in the groin because they had a cut in the foot, or in the armpit because of a hair pull. A node is our first defense of the body, and whenever any disease tries to spread, the node catches it. So if this breast cancer tries to spread to the body, the nodes in the armpit will catch it first, and then you will get node enlarged. If you are operated, or if the patient is operated, they remove all the nodes of that side, and based on the number of nodes which have the cancer presence on histopathology, N is always devoted as N0, that means no nodes involved, or N12, whatever number. It could be 28 nodes removed, 10 are showing cancer. N is 0. Then comes M. M is metastasis, which means distant spread of the cancer. Now, right side breast lump, right side lymph nodes is considered not distant, but is a closer spread of cancer. Where does the breast cancer spread? To the brain, to the liver, to the lungs, and to the other side of nodes or other breast. So M is always denoted, even if the cancer has spread only to lungs or to all organs, M is always denoted as either M0 or M1. So whether the cancer is on the, in addition to breast, reach the brain, reach the lungs, reach the liver, or the other side of thing, it is M1. So I may have a T2, N5, M1. Then I tell my patients, today the lump is not troubling you, it's not troubling your family. Many times it is the family which comes in the way of treatment. I said, imagine if it goes to the brain and you are getting uncontrolled fits. It goes to the lungs. You are bringing out blood every time. It's going to the liver. Every week you have to remove 3 liters of fluid from your abdomen. Then you will not be able to manage it, and then a regret. And I feel in life, no one should have a regret that, oh, I should have done that. So I always say, ladies, come to us when T is 1 to 2, N0, M0. And then we will be able to give you a comfortable life. There's one thing which I must mention here. One biggest objection of women for undergoing surgery is, I will die but I will not lose a breast. If you come early, if you are caught early, then nowadays breast conservation surgery is possible. Only the tumor is removed, breast is not removed. But for that, the patient has to present to the doctor in T1 to 2, N0, M0. And this is only possible when you do a self-breast examination, monthly annual examination by a physician, and mammography as your age indicates. Second difficulty that I get with my patients is they do self-breast examination and then one day they say, sir, bhool jata hai. We are so busy. So then I tell them the trick is, the day you finish your period, the day you think, oh, from tomorrow I will not use a sanitary pad, that is the day that you should do your own self-breast examination, and that connection remains, and women don't forget. Women who are in menopause, who have got a uterus removed and they don't get periods, we tell them first of every month. So then, at least there has to be a regularity so that they remember. Even though self-breast examination does not reveal anything, once a year examination at the hands of a physician or a surgeon, and sonomammography or mammography based on your risk factors or otherwise. Second important point which I would like to share with you, I wish and pray that nobody gets cancer in the family. But anyone has cancer in a family, they have to fight 2 battles. One is the cancer, and second is the social pressure. Suddenly, on the news of somebody's cancer, hundreds of well-wishers get up and they start advising you of a doctor. They advise you of some dargah, some Baba who cures cancer. A patient of mine in young 36-year age got stomach cancer, detected stage 4. Her husband came to me saying, Doc, I am fed up. 24 recommendations of dietitians who are claiming to cure. I always say, shut down yourself. Don't listen to people. Just follow what your doctor or the oncologist says. Second fear is, women undergo surgery, then they say, no, we will not take chemo. Why you will not take chemo? No, chemo is a lot of side effects. The only side effect chemo today has is loss of hair. But believe me, the hair that comes back is much more luxuriant than the first hair the woman had. And there are no side effects, no vomiting, nothing. Maybe for a day or two. Many patients are taking chemo and going to office. They just need a 2-day break. So it becomes difficult for us to convince. And then, I'm sorry to say, there are a lot of children who are working in foreign countries. They don't want to come here and look after their family members. They're just giving advising from there. And all that makes patient to delay the treatment, and that is not right. I will now call Mavis Patrao to share with you. Akash, please. She is one of the residents of Kalina, one of my patients who's been now 13.5 years, and she's been declared cured, no follow-up required. Mavis, thank you for agreeing to come and share your experience. Please.
Welcome, doctor, anytime. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mrs. Mavis Patrao. I am a cancer survivor. I have completed 13 and a half years. I would like to tell you all that there is always a cure and hope for breast cancer, provided we all are aware of the changes in our body. I would advise every woman to go for regular checkups, and even during and after the treatment, follow up everything that the doctor says. Regular follow-ups, medication is a must. Dr. C.H. Asrani has been with me throughout my journey for smallest problems ever since I was diagnosed in 2007. And I won't say it has been easy, but at the end, you definitely come out as a winner. I think you can see this if my video is on. Thank you all, and God bless.
Thank you, Mavis. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor. Welcome.
So, thank you, Mavis.
Thanks, Doctor.
So, since this is our first program for consumers, and we wanted to do something much more beyond just talking and giving some gyan, we have tied up with NM Medical and got an offer for our users. One second. LifeCounts and NM Medical presents a 15% discount on sonomammography or mammography once in this 1 month at NM Medical Center from 24th October to 24th November. If any one of you want the LifeCounts team to advise you on the report finding, we are here. And mammography is done in this 1 month period. We will not charge anything. You have to take a printout of this, go to this site. Sushma was telling you about our site, justeves.com, only women. You have all the information that you want here, /offers.php, download your voucher from here, take your Aadhaar card, there is a list of NM centers, and then book an appointment and go and get it done. This voucher on your mobile and your Aadhaar card copy is required to benefit this. Now I would take some questions. Sushma, can you keep telling me the questions?
Yes, sir, sure. Just a second. So one of the question asked is, so when to do sono and when to do mammo is one of the queries asked.
See, below the mammography, although very informative, gives lot of exposure of X-ray radiation to the breast. So we do not advise it below the age of 45 years if there are no risk factors. And even if there's a risk factor like a family history in mother or sister, we would first do a sono mammo and then we ask for a mammo. So below the age of 45, I think one should not do a mammography unless there is very pressing indication like sono mammo also shows a suspicious lump. Avoid that. And otherwise, just a routine thing, I would always say at any age, sono mammo is the first option, mammography is the second option.
So one more question which is very commonly asked is that if a mother had a breast cancer, what are the chances for the daughter?
See, as Dr. Shrita said in one slide, out of 100 breast cancers, only 5% are because of genetic or hereditary, that because their mother, sister, aunt had. 95 do not have history. So yes, I would say chances are higher, but does not mean they will definitely get. And that is why those girls whose mother or sister or aunt have had breast cancer, they can never neglect a self-breast examination or sonomammo or other things.
So one very commonly asked question is what women should do for PMS, like, for the pain or the changes they go through. Any tips for them?
See, PMS has plenty of symptoms. I think if this series continues, we'll cover PMS one day. PMS has over 30 symptoms, and one of them is premenstrual engorgement and painful breasts, painful to touch. The lady, even while taking bath, feels pain. This pain magically disappears after the periods begin. There is a pain, there is engorgement, but there is no lump. So that is PMS. I can give some tips here that one thing you all know that wherever salt goes, water goes. So when you start getting PMS symptoms 5 to 7 days before your period, consciously cut down salt, which is difficult because PMS leads to craving of salty foods. You consume more salt, more water retention, more pain. And then consult your doctor. I can't give a prescription here. The treatment is very simple, 3-month course of a vitamin, and then the symptoms disappear.
So one more question is like, if there is a history of some other cancer in the mother, does it increase the chance of breast cancer in the daughter or in the
History
family?
of breast cancer or any other cancer?
Any other cancer for that matter. Is there any correlation or?
No, the risk is the gene is of, see now, as Shrita said, the BRCA gene is for breast and ovarian cancer. So if mother has had a leukemia, the daughter doesn't have increased chance of breast cancer. So depending on the cancer mother or father had, there is a risk in the children. Like if a man had a cancer of the prostate, the son has a higher chance of getting prostate cancer. But this risk is not across cancers.
So one more is, does fibrocystic breast require surgery?
No.
Is there correlation between PCOS, fibroid uterus and cancer?
No. See, there is a lot of, medical gossip has become very common after social media, universities have opened up. There is no correlation at all.
Take up the last question. If, it's moving quite fast. If there's a positive family history of CA breast, do people need to screen for CA ovary or CA endometrium or any other screening needs to be done in those conditions?
I feel every woman above the age of 45 should go through a full cancer checkup, which requires a complete blood count that picks up leukemia, which they require a mammography or a sonomammography to rule out breast cancer. They require a sonography of the abdomen to rule out any ovarian or uterine cancer. They require a pap smear to rule out cervical cancer. And they require a routine stool test just to make sure that there is no occult blood. Otherwise, they may have to look for a CA rectum also. Then there are several tumor markers available now. Like for ovarian cancer, we have a tumor marker called CA125. It can be done periodically every year, and then it will help them to pick it up early if it is coming.
There are a lot of questions. Let me take up one more. Someone has a 4.8 centimeter lump in the left breast, which is non-cancerous. So I presume it has been investigated. So should that person get it removed because it's a big size, because it is causing a lot of pain during the periods and maybe giving a lot of discomfort?
I think if it is a lump and it is non-cancer, it is most likely to be fibroadenoma. Yes, you can remove it, but then always rest assured that you will get a second one either in the same breast or the next breast, other breast. So removal one does not mean that second fibroadenoma will not come. If that pain is there during periods and it's bearable, I think try to avoid it. Annually, mammographies can be done or sonomammo can be done to see if the size is increasing. If the size increases so much that it is visible externally, then yes, for cosmetic reasons, it has to be removed.
So the list of questions is increasing. What I would suggest that we will take up all the questions. We are making.
If audience wants to sit, let us take no.
Okay, so then I'll just. Someone has asked, fibroadenoma can lead to cancer.
No.
Then benign lump and malignancy, how to differentiate clinically?
That your doctor will do. You need not worry.
Someone has gone through breast surgery 25 days ago and needs to know that what should be the diet throughout chemotherapy.
See, one thing I will tell you very clearly, the diet should be very nutritious diet because chemotherapy kills normal cells also. But understand one thing, that during chemotherapy, your immunity is at a very low, you can get infection. So, things have to be very hygienic. We would recommend juices from Tetra Pak and not homemade because you cannot always clean homemade things. If you are taking a ice cream, it should be a stick, not from a brick. If you are cutting an apple after washing it well and you eat half, other half cannot be kept in fridge and eaten later. Diet should be very nutritious. Do not take any vitamins without consulting your oncologist because there are certain vitamins which may interfere, like folic acid, which is common constituent of B complex and multivitamin, may interfere with action of certain chemotherapy drugs. So, unknown to your oncologist, no vitamins, no diet, no nothing. Acidic diet, alkaline diet, nothing. Just talk to your oncologist and follow that. In general, I will say milk, curd, fruits, that kind of a thing to be taken. If you don't feel like eating soups, khichdi, all that thing. Paneer, fish.
So for a lump in the breast, what is the first investigation which is advised?
Age, based on age, I would say, or any age, I will say, first sonomammo. If sonomammo shows a suspicious lesion, a mammography, and then if mammography shows suspicion, I will either order a FNAC, fine needle aspiration cytology, or open biopsy. I request all the participants to follow us on Instagram. Next 1 month, we are going to put a lot of content about breast cancer and breast lump on Instagram. Yeah, any more?
Someone is experiencing a lot of heat under the breast continuously, especially heat under the breast continuously, especially on touch.
Heat.
Heat, yeah.
HEAT.
HEAT, heat.
There is no, this symptom does not fit into any breast disease. Just make sure you are not wearing nylon undergarments. You are drinking sufficient water. And make sure that there is no fungal lesion because fungus infection is quite common underneath the breast and that can give a lot of heat.
So someone has written that old age patients, they usually refuse for chemotherapy. So what should be the right approach in that case?
I have had patients, I have convinced even of 70 years. See, old age patient or young age patient, chemotherapy or all treatment for that cancer should be done because old people have had a good life and we remember the good days they had with us. We don't want to remember the suffering in that, and no children will want parents or grandparents to really suffer in the end. And believe me, any cancer which gets out of hand and the doctor tells you, I'm sorry, we can't do anything more, that is amazing suffering and death does not come easily. So chemotherapy, unless there is very severe financial constraints, I think chemotherapy should be given. Any old lady, any old person not willing, tell them to talk to me, I will convince them.
So there is someone who's saying that if the lump is there, but it has not reduced its size, then what should be done?
A lump will never reduce in size on its own. A lump will only increase. The idea is this, like, I have several patients who without my reminding come to me and say, sir, my memo is due. So we send them, they have last 3 years report, cysts in the breast, small lumps, non-cancerous. They are increasing few millimeter every year. But we don't expect a lump unless it is a lymph node to reduce on its own.
So where should we get the blood test done for mutation of BRAC gene?
You can get it done in any hospital. Go to a good hospital, tertiary care hospital. Nowadays, there are genetic labs. You can give it and you can get it done. See, after the Angelina Jolie episode, a lot of interest has come up. But I always tell my patients that, okay, getting it done is one thing. Are you really likely to go for prophylactic breast removal and putting implants? And that is where most of them say no. I said, then what's the point of knowing?
Someone has asked this question that whether she did the right thing or not.
See, today I'll tell you, in India, I'll tell you, majority of the women who want to do this also will not be able to afford it because insurance will not pay for it because it is preventive treatment. And nobody would like, or at least if a woman is taking, it has to be consented by the husband also, to go through 2 major surgical procedures. And then it is not only breasts have to be removed, even ovaries have to be removed because the gene is for breast cancer and ovarian cancer. So are you willing to enter a surgical menopause at a young age? I think once we inform them what are the consequences and what is the next step, then most women will not agree. But if somebody agrees, like I'm sure there are Angelina Jolies in India also with that mindset, yes, if a woman or patient of mine wants to do it, I will support her and guide her properly.
So there is a history of breast cancer in the family and someone is menopausal at the age of 39. What are the chances of developing breast cancer in the near future?
Menopausal, natural or surgical?
That has not been written. The periods are coming on and off, so I guess that it is not surgical.
Yeah, it is natural.
Yeah.
So I think first you confirm whether it is menopause or some other hormonal disorder by doing an FSH. Since breast cancer risk will always remain, the periodic checkups will have to be done. We cannot say, oh, menopausal, so now it will not come. That's why we are saying, even menopausal women should go for regular mammograms. So I think risk will remain only.
So there's a query, can a breast abscess recur? Someone like 16-year-old has just got aspirated, is on antibiotics. Will it recur is the query.
Yeah, it can recur because we don't know what is the cause of the breast abscess. Was it a boil that went deep and became an abscess? Because as you said, 16 years, it's not lactating. Commonest breast abscess is in lactating mothers. So here the cause has to be found out and made sure that the infection clears and this breast abscess heals completely.
So there's one question which has been asked quite a times, that is there any relationship with in between, wearing a tight bra and a breast cancer? Does it increase the risk?
No.
So should anyone be worried if there is a polyp or a cervical polypectomy which has been done?
Cervical polypectomy, if that is non-cancerous, then there is no risk associated with breast cancer.
I think we are almost done, sir. Someone is saying that there is a continuous nipple pain since 4 years, no other symptoms. What should be done? Should a USG be done in that case?
Yeah, USG should be done because this requires more history of age, last delivery, last lactation. But I would say to be on the safer side, USG should be done.
So there is one query that some breast surgeons suggest to massage the breast with tablet EpoSoft and not to take it orally, ever. What is it?
I have no experience. EcoSoft.
No, sorry, it is EpoSoft.
And for what condition? For cancer?
Yeah, I presume breast surgeons, so
Okay, I don't know because I just searched internet. It is omega-3 fatty acid and to relieve symptoms of premenstrual syndrome. Omega-3 fatty acid is taken orally. I don't know why the surgeon should advise like that.
right. So what's the treatment for cracked nipple?
There are creams available. The commonest brand is Massy, MASSE.
So I think we are almost done with all the queries.
Okay. Preeti Desai is around.
Yes, sir, she said.
Preeti will be sending you a Google link. Give us your feedback of today's program and what are the other titles that you would like. Hi, Preeti. Thank you for arranging this. So, what all topics you require in future, what frequency, and the feedback about this talk. Preeti, you want to say something?
Yes, I'll be sending the Google link now when the program is over. So you all can fill in the forms and send it to us back. I'll be sending the link now.
Okay, then before we conclude, I would like to thank my friend Swati Naik for suggesting this Zoom session on this rather than static post. Thank you, Swati. Chalo, bye, take care.
Bye, thank you.
Bye,
everyone.
thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Appreciation.